Hey everybody, Jay Barrino here, welcome back. Thanks for joining me again for some more Metroid Prime. We're on Prime 1. We just defeated Thardus, which was a big Phazon Rock boss, which netted us the Spider Ball. And then we went past Thardus' boss room, and we found an elevator back to Magmor Caverns. But where in Magmor Caverns are we? We'll find out soon enough. So this is a new section of Magmor. And I really don't have that many missiles, do I? Just kill one more of these. Again, because the wave beam charge shot does home, it is actually really ideal for the flying pirates. Getting a lot of stuttering here. So that door up there actually leads to an area that we cannot progress through because we don't have the right items yet. But we'll be able to later on in the game. Machine is functional, but is currently not receiving power. 3 nearby power conduits must be energized. Well, we've got our wave beam thermal visor combination. You actually don't need the thermal visor to shoot these conduits with the wave beam, but it does allow you to lock on. So while we do this puzzle to get an item, I guess I can talk a little bit about where we are in Magmor Caverns and what our plan is next. So when we picked up the Spider Ball last video, I had talked about how it opens up specifically 2 areas, one in Magmor and one in Chozo Ruins. The one in Chozo Ruins is actually going to lead to the next item that we need, and that's going to be the item that allows us to open the white doors. Just get rid of those guys so they don't bother us as we do this. The Spider Ball track in Magmor Caverns, though, is simply to bridge the gap between where we currently are and then back to the Talon Overworld elevator and, by extension, the rest of Magmor Caverns. So if you remember when we took Magmor Caverns to the Talon Overworld elevator, I didn't progress through any doors past the elevator because I said, oh, we can't go through there anymore. And that's because you need the Spider Ball. So that's one specific area where if we would have poked our head in, we would have known there was Spider Ball something there. And now that we have the Spider Ball, we think, oh, we should go check out what that is. But as it turns out, it's actually just the pathway to connect the 2 main areas of Magmor. And while I don't have the item to go into the next room from here to access the next elevator, we will eventually, and then Magmor, again, is like our transit hub. I never scanned one of these. You don't have to. It doesn't go into your logbook as an entry for completion. If the adjutant lady doesn't say recorded to logbook, then it does not count towards completion. But now we have 7 energy tanks, which is super solid. Oop, getting kind of stuck on the edge there. So there are 3 exits out of this room. 2 lead to elevators, and 1 just takes you further back into Magmor, and that's where we're going right now. So you use these guys as platforms. Just wait for him to open up and shoot them. And then this room becomes important later, but right now it is not, because there's nothing we can do in here. So let's do this. See ya. And I think overall we're doing pretty good on scans. I don't think I've missed any scans. I don't think there are anywhere I've told myself, hey, I gotta go back and get that scan. I'm pretty sure we're good. For now, at least. Oh! Got Mr. Presidented. Let's just keep jumping around here trying to avoid these, what are they called, preeds, I think? There we go. Eventually we'll get the grapple beam and we can just skip all this. We're supposed to use the morph ball to go underneath those, but again, we got 7 energy tanks. We just take it right on the chin and walk right through them. There's something satisfying about dropping the stalactites on the Magmors. So this is the room. This is the spot. So this is where you needed the Spider Ball to proceed. Again, it connects 2 very important areas of Magmor. So now if we go through this door, here we are at the Talon Overworld elevator, which is exactly where I want it to be. Because again, we have to basically figure out what's the best way to get back to Chozo Ruins. So this is when I talk about optimal pathing. I think, okay, well, I could go back through Magmor Caverns to get through Chozo Ruins from the front of Magmor Caverns, or I can cut through Talon Overworld instead. Both are acceptable, so the question is, which pathway will net me access to more possible items? And the answer that I came up with, at least, is cut through Talon Overworld. And the reason for that, too, is because that's going to drop us off somewhere in Chozo Ruins that's closer to places where I can pick up items. So again, while I know that this isn't probably the most optimal of paths in the grand scheme, I find it to be a very satisfying path. Again, there's some times where I purposefully will extend a pathway just so that I can... I will extend a pathway just so that I can pick up an energy tank. I went and I picked up the first artifact just so I could get those Chozo lore scans and kind of show you all what the objective of the game would ultimately be. Stuff like that. So it's kind of like Jay Barrino's personalized, optimized path. Not 100% optimized, but enough for what I feel like is a great showcase of the game without too much backtracking or unnecessary backtracking. And when I do backtrack, I try to do it in a way that allows me to pick up items along the way. Gotta start trying to focus on getting our missiles back. Alright, so this is exactly one of those spots where it's going to be personalized Jay Barrino pathway. I'm actually going to kill a bunch of these because this is an opportunity to get some of my missiles back. Because there is an item in a room further up in this location. Yes, give me those missiles. Okay, good. And it's really not the most ideal. It's really not ideal to come through here until later because we need another suit upgrade to get an artifact. So we're going to be coming back here later anyway. But the item that we can get in this location is... I just really want it. It's very strong, and I think this is the proper time to get it. So I'm going to do it now instead of doing it later along with the artifact. So this is explicitly not an optimal pathway, but it allows me to get an item that I particularly want for this part of the game. Also, 2 missile expansions. Okay, and then we have to roll up the other side of the half-pipe. Try to align myself on the half-pipe before I start rolling. The boost ball works a little differently in each of the 3 games. Whether you get the most height out of it if you use it when you're going up or when you're coming down. Again, it's just like mildly different in both cases. So see, we needed the spider ball to do this in the first place. Here we are. So we need to shoot each of these on each side 3 times. So that's 12 missiles right there. And we're actively collapsing the room. And there are 2 unique scans that we can get in here. So you need a lot of missiles if you want to do this room. So you need... There's 3 levels, and you need 12 per level, so 36 total. Just come up here. So motion controls helps this a lot. Keep in mind, in the past, there were no motion controls. So trying to shoot these blocks without hitting the little whatever these things are was surprisingly difficult. This is also why I killed the scarabs on the way in, because I really needed missiles coming into this room. These things deflect missiles, if that wasn't clear. Alright, so we got the Wave Buster, which is our missile combination for the Wave Beam. Now you'll notice there's an unexplored room at the bottom here, but we need to be able to travel through water in order to get it, and currently we can't jump high enough while we're underwater. So, again, this is probably the least optimal path of my entire routing, but I really wanted to get the Wave Buster. Like, I very badly wanted the Wave Buster, so there you have it. And then just back to the main plaza we go. It's actually, we can grab an item out here, too. So you could shoot that weird cap off of the tree. Not sure the best way to actually jump there. I think just from here. I really don't know, actually, the best way to fall onto this tree to get this. Probably from the up top. We can fall onto it from up there, so let's do that. We can skip going around as well, because we have the double jump now. So, specifically, anything movement-based that we get in terms of upgrades does unlock little shortcuts. It's designed in a way to unlock those little shortcuts as you go, which I think is really excellent. Alright, and I might just kill a bunch more scarabs just to refill some missiles. Again, I really don't like having too good to use engine with missiles. There's really nothing you have to save them for, so you might as well use them in every combat situation you can. Okay, and we're in the ruined fountain now. And we've got the spider ball. And the water is purified, so we can use the fountain to blast us up to the spider ball track. Again, you might not even notice this was here the first time you come through this room, because you realize there's no way that you can interact with these magnetic rails, so you might as well just move on. Right, and I could hit the save station. I don't think that's necessary right now. I will regret that if the game crashes. I haven't had any crashes, though, since we started playing Prime 1, so I think we'll be fine. I don't think I've actually explained it. You may have seen the pop-up on the screen at the beginning of the game, but when you are holding the charge beam, it draws pickups to you. So that's why I do that, if you have been wondering. There we go. Refilling those missiles. That's another one, though, it's been up there this whole time, but we didn't have the tools to get to it. You needed space jump, and you needed morph ball bombs. Okay, so now we have to wonder, where do we go now? And it's got to be something related to the spider ball. And you might remember a long time ago I had talked about this specific room and going through this door to get the energy tank. Well, now we can actually progress through that room because it was indeed a spider ball track. There we go. And not just the spider ball, but actually the boost ball too, because I think you need the boost ball to boost over these rocks before they disappear. There we go. So now we are officially into the latter half of Chozo Ruins. Shiny wall lore, everyone's favorite. What is this otherworldly pestilence that infests the land, seeking out life in its blind need for corruption? And where did the meteor that brought it originate? Was it crafted by alien hands? Or is it a roving chunk of a planet that suffered a violent end? Our minds quail in horror at the thought that long ago, in some corner of the universe as yet unseen by our eyes, an entire planet was perhaps once coated with this great poison. Whatever catalyst may have ruptured that doomed place must have been mighty, indeed. And if other meteors from it spread through space, bearing this evil to far corners of the universe, we hold fast to the hope that this is not so, that the only surviving remnants of this evil are here on Talon 4. Then at least there is hope for its eradication. Well, unfortunately, there is a whole planet of it, and we'll be going there at the end of the third Metroid Prime. How exciting. I suppose a fitting end, right? Kind of a spooky ambiance change here. Several shiny wall lures. Let's go. To the Entrusted One. If you read these words, then our hope has not been in vain. Your path is fraught with danger. Monstrosities beyond description lurk in the shadows, starving, hunting for prey, searching for ways to quench the poisonous urges that bloom in their brains. Some of these are shrewd, but they are blinded by their evil designs. Believing in the black promise of the great poison, they seek to harness for their own ends. It is these last that are the greatest danger. When you rid the universe of these creatures, you will be the true Entrusted One. Space pirate genocide is what that was.
Recording to Logbook.
None know if our temple, the Cradle, will prove powerful enough to contain this evil forever. For now it wraps around the abomination, cutting it off from the world above. However, believe the power or cipher, which has been produced by linking the 12 artifacts, should be strong enough. The fate of this world is now left to the one who will collect all the artifacts in the future. The time when the Entrusted One knows is approaching.
Recording to Logbook.
Many Chozo are gifted with a distant sight, and even more begin to learn it as the harmonization with the universe becomes more and more complete. We peer forward, seeing prophecy in the ripples of the water, hearing rumors of coming days of the breath of the wind. Though we celebrate the distant sight, many of these visions are dark. The worst of the prophecies and the most common tells of the coming of the worm. Born from parasites, nurtured in a poisoned womb, the worm grows, devouring from within until the world begins to rot. Not all prophecies come to pass, of course, but we cannot help but fear this dark portent. So it's basically saying, deep in the impact crater, born from parasites, Metroids perhaps, something is growing. Okay. I don't remember what this is, but I'm pretty sure it is a missile expansion. You get some real height with the boost ball. You can bomb jump off the tracks. You can't spring ball off the tracks, I don't believe. You gotta use the morph ball bomb to detach yourself from the tracks. Oh. Almost missed it. Cool. All that for a missile expansion. That's fine. You'll notice there are a lot of white doors here. Kind of indicative that we will likely be getting the tool that we need to open those soon. And all that does is that interconnects certain rooms so that you don't have to use the boost ball, for example. So that's a bit of a pain. Normally I just run through these. Oh, I was kind of hoping for some more missiles. But that's fine. Actually, we don't need more missiles because this is our first missile station. I think there are only 2 of these in the whole game. 3 of these. There's 3 of these in the whole game. Oh, well, I hope you like missiles. Super optimized Jay Barino playthrough. Alright, let's hop down here and fight what is possibly one of the most annoying enemies. And actually, by fighting this enemy here, they're going to start showing up all over Chozo Ruins, unfortunately. Now, these are only vulnerable to the power beam. You can't use the wave beam, for example. Now, that's okay, though, because if something's vulnerable to a certain beam, it also means that it's vulnerable to the certain beam and missile combo, which is super missiles, which is the best way to kill those ghosts. Things bound to earthly shapes are temporal and frail, existing in a single dimension. They are fragile, vulnerable, and ultimately mortal. However, not all things obey this law. Shapeless, they wait beyond the realm of perception, emerging only when one arrives who can feel their presence. Such is the will of the Chozo. Our will to defeat the evil seeping into this planet remains. We desire only to see the darkness meet its end. The will of the Chozo has no mind of reasoning of its own, though. This will be the entrusted one's trial. So those ghosts, they go invisible and they appear at random spots, so it's good to just try to kill them as fast as possible before they can start jumping around. And because those ghosts are all over the Chozo Ruins now, in my opinion, it's important that we basically ignore and avoid Chozo Ruins until we get an important tool that allows us to kill the ghosts easier. So that's what we're going to do. Which is we're gonna get the tool that we want. You can see there's 2 other beams that we can't do anything with right now. We're gonna get the tool that we want, and then we'll come back and we'll do like a grand cleanup of Chozo Ruins to get any pickups that we may have missed. So I'm gonna again get the item to open the white doors. You can imagine what element it's going to be. Once again, I think we're missing music. There's supposed to be music here. I wonder why, in this playthrough in particular, I'm having missing music. It's too bad. Alright, so we were able to do the wave beam exit of this specific room. Safety shield offline. Use caution near the window. Is that my visor telling me to be careful near the window? That's cute. Drainage shutoff is holding, maintaining the water level of the reflecting pool at 95%. So we can already start planning ahead a little bit. Which is basically, once we get the ice beam, as you can imagine it's going to be, what are we going to do with it? The only ice beam doors, there's one back at Fendrana. Right past Thardis. Okay, we don't want to go that way. We want to go into this door over here. And then there's ice beam doors in this area of Chozo Ruins, but all they do is function to act as shortcuts. Okay, now I've got the ice beam. It shoots very slowly. So this door over here leads back to Talon Overworld. Actually, there are 2 elevators to Talon Overworld right through here. One of them sort of dead ends at a gate that can only be opened from the other side, so I'm not even going to bother. Instead, we're just going to take this one that's behind the save station. But yeah, the Ice Beam is very strong. It just outright freezes weaker enemies, and then you can shatter them instantly with a missile. So we are now going to be on the path, making our way all the way back to Fendrana. All the way back there. Okay, we've scanned those. So you can it'll just outright kill smaller enemies, which is pretty cool. Okay, let's force this Venom Weed to retract a little bit. All right, so we're actually way up top here. So we haven't visited this area yet of Talon Overworld, but you'll see how it connects momentarily. So these guys are really good at dodging, and your ice projectiles are really slow, and you can only shoot it, really slow. But if you wait for them to start shooting the rockets, then they'll be still enough that you'll be able to freeze them. Okay, so this is actually the crashed frigate from the beginning of the game, from the tutorial. Okay, so we just have to go through the water. There's really no better way, I think, right now. We just gotta cut back across here through the water. So if you try to enter the frigate, you can make some decent progress. All right, goodbye. You can make some decent progress. This crate appears to be the same type of container found on the Space Pirate Research Frigate. The material seeping out from the ruptured metal is highly toxic. Analysis indicates that this may be the phazon compound the Space Pirates are using in their biological experiments. Yep, blue goop. So you can progress pretty far through that crashed frigate, but eventually you're going to realize that you don't have the momentum in water that you need to progress. So it would be silly to try to go in there now before we can actually do anything in there. Okay, so you'll notice, here we are back at our ship. Somewhere around here, I always forget where it is. There it is. There's actually a missile expansion under our ship. I suppose we could have gotten this earlier, but I knew we'd be coming through here because the way from the Chozo ruins back to Talon Overworld is through the crashed frigate site and then near where our ship is. Okay, so now what is the best way to get back to Fendrana? And not just anywhere in Fendrana, but specifically that Magmor Caverns elevator that takes us to where the Thardus boss was, basically. Also, now we can instant kill a lot of stuff with the Ice Beam, which is really cool. So I'm going to climb the Root Cave to take the Talon Overworld elevator back to Magmor, which is relatively close to the Fendrana elevator that connects to right after the Thardus boss fight. And for real, the Ice Beam it really is extremely strong. It's excellent. It's a blast to use. So I would say this whole part of the game, specifically after Thardus, I would say, there are so many different ways that you can take to get anywhere that this is where I think the idea of a semi-optimal pathing route is, I don't want to say it's important, but it's more satisfying, because if you kind of nail down the route, and then again you kind of feel like you're never crossing through areas more than you have to. You know, we're going to go through several rooms twice, but you never feel like you're pathing through an area and then realize, oh, I've made it to Fendrana Drifts, but this is nowhere near where in Fendrana Drifts I wish I was in order to progress. Why don't we just do this? Perpetually empty room because we dropped a stalactite on a Magmor. These things eventually disappear from this room. You can make the jumps without having to use them. Not this one, though. So sometimes if you do happen to freeze them and they don't dodge, you just get kind of lucky. So I'm just waiting for them to start shooting rockets. If they're firing rockets and you start shooting an ice beam projectile, you can be pretty confident that it will freeze them, so you can shoot the missile even before they're frozen. And there we go, we're back to the Fendrana elevator. All right, so we've made it to the second half of basically deeper Fendrana at this point. Fendrana's got 3 parts, because if you include the research base as well. All right, so we're gonna drop down, and I'm just gonna show that how this connects. This actually connects back to the pirate base through that white door that was near where we picked up the thermal visor. But there's no reason right now to go that way. There's nothing in the pirate base that we need. I'll leave the ice beetles alone. They're a rare breed. They only appear in like 2 rooms in this whole game. I heard a Metroid. Just walking in here, I heard it. There it is. So this is a different Metroid. It's the Hunter Metroid, Adolescent Metroid. Energy Siphon Tentacle increases its threat level. As Metroids develop, they become more efficient predators. An energy-draining tentacle allows them to attack at a distance. Quick to anger, a Hunter Metroid will charge troublesome prey and attempt to ram them into submission. Cold-based attacks are still quite effective against these creatures. Right. That's how we kill Metroids. It's just that easy, boys. Okay, and let's break these stalactites. There's one way up there, but we can't get to it yet. Save room. All Metroids destined for phase and ranges in the mines must pass inspection. You'll also remember that one of the pirate logs had said that they were sending Metroids down into these quarantine caves, specifically the Hunter ones, because they couldn't control them, so they just kind of let them loose in these caves and consider them quarantined. Alright, let's continue for a little bit longer. That may have been a good spot to stop, but we'll press on for a little bit longer. Alright. Lots of flying pirates in general these days, but again, we've got the perfect counter to them. You just wait long enough for them to start shooting rockets. There we go. So this room actually has 2 upgrades in it, but we can get neither of them right now. require us to climb the room. Instead, we're going to drop into the water.
Recording to logbook.
Hello? There we go. And the game is going to make us slog through water for a while until we can get what we need to actually traverse it. But that's just sort of the name of the game. I think it's kind of smart. Again, show the player what they're unable to do, give them the tool to overcome it. Satisfying. But then also remind them what they still are unable to do. All right. Is that it? Or there are more? No, I think that's it. There are more of these irritating flicker bats, I think are what they're called. They'll knock you off if you don't kill them, so I'm going to do that now. Nah, let's just go. If they knock me off, they knock me off. It's all right. It's like I think we moved twice as slow. It's like moving through mud, which is what you would expect, you know? So I think this room is called the Gravity Chamber.
Recording to logbook.
I wonder what we're going to get. And there it is. We don't have to fight anything for it. It's just there. I guess we had to fight moving underwater for a while. So we get to keep the shoulder pads, but now we're purple. Okay, so now the question is, what can we do with our newfound underwater movement? Well, it's as simple as remembering where we were unable to progress earlier, which was the sunken frigate, the crashed frigate, rather. So there's a bunch of stuff I call this whole area Fendrana's Edge. It's like the deeper half of Fendrana. There's a bunch of stuff to do, but we can't do it now. So we're gonna be coming back here anyway. Those drones are so irritating, so that's why I just super missile them. I think we can ignore these guys. I still think we're doing good on scans. I don't think I've blatantly missed anything. I mean, I'll find out soon enough, right? But so we've actually made a nice little circle back to the outer part of Fendrana. So how do we get back to that sunken ship? Well, I would say that the best place, the closest elevator to it is either through Chozo Ruins, which I don't want to traverse, nor is there really a good way to get back to Chozo Ruins from Fendrana. But we can go through Talon Overworld. We can go to Magmor Caverns, back to Talon Overworld. Pretty much the exact same path we took at the very beginning of this video, and that's not the door we want to go out of. We have to climb all the way back up to the top of this room. And that takes us back through the pirate base, which we definitely don't want to do. At least not until much later in the game. Just don't fall, because we don't have to reclimb through this whole flippin' room. So that energy tank is behind ice, and we have no tool to melt it right. Some of it needs to be melted, and that ice specifically needs to be melted. So that was a nice little bite of Fendrana's Edge. You dive in, you make like a nice little circle to get the gravity suit, you come back through the other pathway, and then we just head right back to Magmor Caverns. Again, it's like a perfect little pathway to get what we needed. And now that we're here, I'm going to go ahead and save and stop the video at the exact same spot that we started it and ended the last one. So thanks everyone for watching, and next time we're going to go through the crashed frigate. See you next time. Bye-bye.